Yeah.
All right, welcome to another edition of Dream Up, coming to you from KBF 88.3 FM in Little Rock, nationally syndicated and internationally streamed. It's the show where a reporter, me, a comic, you'll see in a second, and a lawyer walked into a bar and came out with a great hour of talk about how they each achieved their dreams in their distinct walks of life, complete with interviews each week with celebrities, experts, and average Joes and Janes who've achieved their dreams and are now here to talk about the obstacles they overcame to achieve them. Today, our very special guest is legendary comic, sitcom star, and original America's Funniest Home Videos host, Bob Saget.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Loving we got the Bob here. He's so funny. He's such a nice guy too.
I'm happy, man. I'm happy today.
I just hope we can keep him FCC clean. We'll see. It'll be a challenge.
He did it all his life. Maybe he'll keep the streak up.
What are our FCC guidelines here, by the way, boys?
Well, we can't say. Nowadays, you can say a couple of the 7 dirty words, but let's not go over the ones that we can't say. I think people can guess pretty well. They start with the letter F and S, and I don't know, a couple others. GDE probably. Anyways, I'm one of your hosts, Carl Double Portion Kozlowski, because I'm supersized. I want a double portion of blessings from the Lord, and I'm the reporter in this equation. I'm in Little Rock, and with me from Hollywood is
Ron, the mirthful married man. Actually, I'm going to switch it. Ron, Funny Money Pearson is what it's going to be. It's going to be the Funny Money. I'm the comic from Hollywood, having fun out here. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles, but I'm so glad to be on the show here all across Arkansas and many other states.
And you're our comedian in our triumvirate of talent.
Correct. Or so
yes, and then coming from Vegas, we've got
Antonio Fun Size Delgado.
You are fun size.
And you
the
are
lawyer.
The adorable little attorney. I'll call him the adorable attorney.
Hey, Ron, by funny money, do you mean Ron, the forged money Pearson? Is that what you mean by funny money?
The what money?
Forged money. Forged money.
Forged.
Pearson, funny money.
No, I don't create. I don't create false. I don't have a printing press. Don't look at the other side of my room. There's no printing press. Would that be something? What if you could print money? I mean, I say that to my kids all the time. I don't print money. I'm not a tree. Money doesn't grow on trees. But man, wouldn't it be great if it did?
Oh yeah. Well, you could work for the government. But folks,
you are the government, you mean?
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
And anything going on this week involving your dreams, guys?
Well, I've been doing some shows down in Orange County and San Diego County, and they're in Arkansas and probably they're in Vegas. You probably have some lines in different areas. It's so bizarre when you cross from LA County on the freeway into Orange County. It changes. Yeah. I mean, LA County has a feel to it. Maybe not the best sometimes. You get to Orange County, the roads are clean. There's no litter. Angels, you actually hear angels singing. Oh, money just starts falling out of people's pockets and they don't care. Life is just better in Orange County. It is so crazy. The other day, I came back home and had to go back down for a show at 10 p.m. and they had locked the gates to Orange County. I couldn't get back in. They didn't want LA people coming in after 10 p.m. It was terrible. I mean, literally, it's like the difference between, like you've heard of the Real Housewives of Orange County. Well, that makes sense. They're in beautiful mansions. If they did it about LA County, it'd be like a bad episode of Cops. They'd be coming out of trailers, double wides, wearing white beater shirts, and they are the wife. That's the weird thing. Have you been? The difference between the two county fairs is really funny. I actually go a lot to the LA County Fair. I love county fairs. I don't know why. It's just something fun to do. I like trying to win all the prizes and stuff. But man, there is some sketchy things at the LA County Fair. Like I dropped a uneaten, unchewed piece of gum on the ground. I thought, should I do the 5-second rule? I thought, no, I do not want hepatitis today. I do not want hepatitis. I was at Orange County Fair and I dropped a piece of food and I thought, and a guy bumps me and goes, hey, it's Orange County. You get 30 seconds here. Go ahead.
That's a good one.
That's
Sounds
how
like a
different
dream
it is
place for me.
between LA and Orange County.
There's so
Wow.
much truth to that, though, Ron. You joke, but you jest. But man, there's truth to that, my friend. There really
Well,
is.
Well, part of it is how the local governments run themselves, right? It's got to be, it's got to be, because there really is a difference between the two counties, and I'm sure there's places like that in Arkansas. I just don't know where.
All of Arkansas is beautiful and well run, and and we didn't have any shutdown hardly at all from all the COVID. It's like, oh, you get to live freely and not have your life mandated all over the place. It's great. I love it.
I'd done a lot of work in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then
Yeah.
I had a show in Northwest Arkansas that's in its wonderful area, and I decided I don't really know anyone there. I know a lot of people in Tulsa because I did my one-man show there for so long. So I go, let's to my wife, let's fly into Tulsa and then drive over. We'll stay a night or two in Tulsa, see some friends, and then drive over. And it was between the Oklahoma border and Northwest Arkansas. It was that change. As soon as you cross the bridge, it's like getting to Orange County. Angel,
Yeah,
it's really beautiful up there. I love it up there. My
Oh,
nephew
yeah,
is going to
totally.
school up there right now too, and I'm jealous. It's so beautiful and such a nice place to live, really.
Yeah. Well,
You know
Ron,
what's
you should
interesting,
tell us-
guys?
Oh,
You know what's
What?
interesting? California has put up a border between Nevada and California. So before you used to drive, and you could just drive, and there was no issue. But now you go through these little booths, right, in order to get into California. I'm thinking California's a little presumptions here that they think that people are going to try to sneak into California from the rest of the country.
My
God.
that's to keep people from leaving. They're trying to keep people from
That's
leaving.
what it is.
Yeah.
You're right.
They also check agriculture. They do an agriculture.
That's what it's for.
yeah.
But it's just funny. That's
Yeah.
funny that they got that.
well, Ron, you should probably tell us what your quote of the week is.
Oh, we got a good one here. I love this one. The swiftest way to triple your success is to double your investment in personal development. That's by a guy named Robin Sharma out of Canada. The swiftest way to triple your success is to double your investment in personal development. Holy smokes, guys. I've kind of lived this in a way. Antonio, you're one of the few people I know who's really lived that through. I don't know if you and I haven't talked about this quote yet.
Yes.
What is it you have to say about it? Because I'm really curious.
You know what? That is so absolutely true. It's so true. And because we all could have everything we want. The person that's getting in our way is ourselves most of the time. So we have to figure out how we get in our way from making things happen. So you got to learn how to deal with those issues that you have, those childhood traumas or whatever it is that you might be having holding you back. And man, once you start getting out of your way, your life just starts getting so much better. And you let all that great goodness that comes into your life.
All right, you're saying that, but did you do that?
Yes, I did. I really have.
How?
I went to personal development classes. I've done therapy before. I mean, I've done it all. I really have.
Right. So you grew up as an immigrant from El Salvador. You grew up in a really tough, it was tough there because you were there during the revolution. And then you moved to get away from that to Los Angeles, but to a really tough neighborhood of Los Angeles. So definitely a tough life. Now you've become an immigration lawyer and you are a true story of real American success story. It's so fascinating, but you credit parts of that to this process of self-development.
Yeah, I not only to financial success, but just to personal success and satisfaction and just appreciation of what you do have. Everything has momentum. And once you start getting into this momentum of appreciation, of love, of just goodness, it just unfolds. And yeah, absolutely.
You remember a point where that changed in your life, like a real point where that changed?
You know what? I don't know if there's a one point. I think it's gradual. I think one moment you start looking back and you're like, wait a minute, things are good. Like it's like gaining weight. It's like you don't notice it, until like the pants don't fit. But it works the other way too. You don't realize how good things are until you you measure it somehow and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not struggling that much anymore, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, I think I was successful as a business person, but didn't realize I had things holding me back in my own life from like youth trauma. You said that earlier.
Yes, yes.
So I had a lot of youth trauma and didn't realize that that was really getting in the way. So it's almost, to me, it's like your engine functioning on 3 of your 6 cylinders.
Yeah.
And you're still
yeah.
doing pretty good. And then when you get those, when you figure out what those problems are and get them solved, then you can like start really chugging on 5 cylinders, 6 cylinders to be
Yes.
the best.
Yes.
At least that's the best way it is for me. And I wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have gone in for personal growth, which I didn't even believe I needed it for years, which is the scary part. It's that understanding of realizing you need to work on personal development.
Because we do so great without it for so long. We do good without it. But man, you don't realize how great you can do until you start dealing with those things.
Yeah.
Well,
Carl?
you know, I had a pastor at a church I went to a couple times years ago in Pasadena, California, and on New Year's Eve, he would have a service where people could come and he would claim to be prophetic about their lives and what they could touch your forehead and see things about you. And I didn't know what to think of that, but it ties in with what you just said, Ron. He told me, you know, you're going to be a well-oiled machine. And I was like, huh? You know, and my life was a mess then. But the thing is, once I put in the development work, which I have in the last 2 years since moving back to Arkansas, you know, I see a therapist once a month. It was every 2 weeks for a while. I went to all the doctors, got checked out, and found that most of my health was pretty good and what was left to work on. And then now I'm investing money and time by signed up for the gym. I signed up for Weight Watchers. I have a trainer. And so I'm putting in money.
You got a girlfriend?
Got a girlfriend, yeah, paying her also. No, and so, you know, but yeah, it's just, you know, it does, if you put in the effort and like Antonio is saying, get out of your own way and really just let good things happen, it'll snowball in a good way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Carl, when you get moving on your projects, I call you a bull in a china shop, brother. Move.
I
Get out of the way, because here he comes.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and
Well,
I like to play devil's advocate. So the only thing I would add to that is that, like in everything in life, you get diminished return the more you do it. Like, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, there comes a point in time where you start not getting that much weight loss from the same amount of effort. I think that also happens with personal development. You know, you start not getting that much return for the effort you make. So you always got to be switching it up and find out where those weak points are in your mind, in your heart, and go after those places to get more return, because you start getting comfortable doing that stuff because it has brought you so much great effort that you're like, I just keep doing this and it'll continue, but you start getting diminished return for the same effort.
That is an awesome point. Yeah. Well taken, well noted. And now, guys, let's hit the news.
Yeah.
All right. So every week we like to look at a story or two that shows people achieving their dreams or failing but trying. And so now the news. So this week I found something that's not really news in the normal sense. It's just an amazing essay I found on Vice.com. It's called "I Hired Someone to Slap Me Every Time I Used Facebook. It Changed My Life." And it's an entrepreneur named Manish Sethi was dealing with a problem a lot of us have, social media addiction. So he came up with a unique solution. He hired a woman to slap him hard in the face every time he used Facebook. And he recorded a lot of the slaps. And then he put them on YouTube and they went viral. And the response he got from people watching and going, oh my God, that's insane. It reinforced how badly he wanted to break his Facebook addiction. He was estimating, I don't know how this is possible, but he claimed he was wasting 19 hours a day on, maybe he meant 19 hours a week, I don't know, but 19 hours a day, he says, on social media. And this woman slapping him in the face was enough negative reinforcement that after about 3 or 4 months, he was able to stop paying her to be what he called his slap master. and he now just avoids Facebook like the plague because he's reminded of what happened. What do you guys think?
Wow, it's so sad that you're that addicted to, but people do get addicted to it. So he hires the girl to slap him, and now he's addicted to BD and S&M. So.
Hey,
That's a good one.
To each their own. To each their own. But this reminds me of. Oh, go ahead, Antonio. Sorry.
No, can you imagine you have the opposite reaction, right? You actually get more addicted to social media because you enjoy that stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. No, I remember, I got slapped in the face I went to Catholic school where they're notorious for in the old days, whacking kids in the hands with rulers and stuff like that. Well, that all stopped mostly back in the 60s, all the Catholic school physical abuse of that kind. But I went to one school when I was in 6th grade where in 1981, I was I talked in the cafeteria after this bully of a principal who was a monk, and he said, "Everybody be quiet, shut up." And I kept talking for a second. He came over and he slapped me so hard in the face in front of everybody that I had like a red handprint on my face for like a half hour. And I ran out of the cafeteria and ran across the street and called my mom off a payphone. I was like, "Mom, get over here," because I wanted the proof that he really slapped me in the face. But so on the one hand, I whined like a baby to my mom and she got mad at him. But on the other hand, I never talked again later because I was it was equal parts the pain and the humiliation of having a red mark on my face in front of all my classmates, but it worked. And I think that's kind of parallel to this guy.
Well, there's a real irony that he's devoted as a monk to peace and love, and yet he'll slap the crap out of a kid.
Yeah, he also whomped a girl in the back one time, made her fall down. It was crazy.
Well, if that was the Protestant church, he would just say, "I was laying on of hands." That's
yeah, exactly.
Trying to heal him of speaking too much.
Well, have you guys experienced social media addiction or ever resorted to unusual means to break some other bad habit?
It's funny. I'm surprised more people aren't addicted to social media to that extent, because there are professionals who are purposely trying to get you addicted to social media as much as they can. So yeah, I have it pretty bad. I would agree. Mine's is pretty bad too. But you know what? At least I try to use it in a way that is beneficial to me. I try to follow things that are positive, that'll teach me things. So at least I try to balance it with a little bit of positivity. But yeah, man, I have the same problem right now.
Yeah.
How about you, Ron?
Well, social media would not be my addiction, but we all fall prey to other vices, and it's
sure.
Addiction goes back in my family heavily. So I fall prey to that. You have to be on vigilance. One addiction, once you clamp it down, can come up in another addiction. So it's like trying to squeeze a balloon, squeeze the air out of it, another side will blow up. So, addiction is based on medicating your mind, getting endorphins into the mind that aren't healthy levels of it. Whereas, you do healthy things like exercise every day, that puts a healthy level of endorphin into you. And yet you can get addicted to exercise, even that, right? So it's kind of crazy. Crazy. So
it is.
Yeah. Wow. It's all how you soothe yourself, right? Self-soothing. And when you can find healthy ways of doing it, and actually face the pain that you're facing and deal with the pain instead of compartmentalize it and put it off to the side, which I did for years, and now I'm learning to face it. And that's one of the cylinders that, we were talking earlier. I was only chugging on 3 cylinders from youth trauma, and so I've been dealing with those things, and it's been helping for sure. It's been helping.
Yeah, well, I think we can all say we recommend therapy to anybody that is feeling hung up on something in life. But folks, speaking of keeping something hung up, we've got our guest waiting in the waiting room. So I'll be bringing him in right now. All right, so Ron, tell us about our guest.
Well, here's a guy that's a total legend in the comedy business. He should be a one namer like Cher or Celine. He really should be a one namer, but if you just said Bob, there might be, oh, Bob Villa, you guys got Bob Villa? But no, he's comedy legend, acting legend, like Full House, Fuller House, hosting legend, America's Funniest Home Videos, and currently got a ripping podcast that you've got to listen to, ladies and gentlemen. Comedy legend Bob Saget.
Hey, thank you. Let me fix that intro.
Okay.
I would go Bob Newhart. That's where I would go.
Ooh.
And the other thing is little kids do call me Bob Saget. It's one word. So I'll say to a little kid, "Hi, it's Bob," and they'll go, "Hi, Bob Saget," and I'll go, "No, please just call me Bob." And they go, "No, all right, Bob Saget." So I get heckled by 4-year-olds that should not have let their parents show them the roast, things like that.
Well, you and I have worked together, but I always just call you Saget. I don't
A lot of
ever
people
call
do
you-
that. I like that. It feels like I'm in phys ed again.
Yeah.
Saget, stop falling down. I can't help it. I'm bottom heavy.
Well, you and I just did 4 years of Fuller House together. And
Yeah, it's five. It was 5. It was 5
That was
years.
5.
It was
You're right.
six seasons, but they cut, as Netflix does, like carving a turkey. They'll take 2 1 year and make it into 2 seasons. So
Yeah. Well, what a run that was for, you do a show in the start of your career and then you come back with all the same people
At the end of it,
at the end.
No,
That's
the
not
end-
the end of your career,
I
but so
always
many years
no.
later.
I believe it or not, I'm just starting because now people are picking up the phone and I get to do what I've been wanting to do. So that's the weird part. Careers are weird. You either get it early on and then people get their 15 minutes, or you have a long career, which is what I have, and then you get another. About every 7 or 9 years, I get some cool boost thing happen because I drink boost because I'm 65, so it keeps me alive. And then I take a solid bowel movement, and then I'm very creative. So, but
And you don't age, Bob. You don't
well,
age.
I do, and then I don't. What happened is, like the past few years, I was going through a stressful time with few people I care about. So people always go like, "What's wrong with you? Why'd you get a pumpkin head? Why are you?" I was like, you know what? I don't want to take you through it because it's none of your damn business. But I ate and drank to try to deal with, instead of just hopping on a treadmill, because I don't have Kevin Hart's stability, but he hasn't lived my life. So, and he's a miracle. I mean, he's basically who I'd like to be. I just got to cut my legs off and then get really cut, and then have the biggest career in show business. So it's a few things I got to do at 65.
Well, it's funny how you're talking. We were talking earlier in the show about getting around obstacles in your own life that they get in the way of you actually running on all full cylinders. And people don't realize it. We were just, I went for years of youth trauma, not realizing I had suffered from it and never dealt with it. And
it's not because I did something to you, right?
Well, that's not hit the papers yet, but we'll get into that later.
I didn't know.
After the restraining order is over, Bob.
Well, I'm sorry about that too. Back in the day, it was okay to walk into the woods with a young man. And now that's been canceled, and rightfully so, by the way. But I was a troop leader and you were a little cubby.
My God.
I brought marshmallows, but I don't want to get into that.
And we roasted them, but we had no fire.
Oh,
You know where the fire was? In your eyes, Bob. In
Thank
your
you
eyes.
for putting it there. Thank you for knowing my eyes are up here.
oh.
Yeah, and there's a fire burning behind you there. Look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
Antonio's got a full-on fire burning.
Ron, why are you blushing, my friend? You're blushing.
He is?
Me?
I don't think
Ron,
so.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I
that's
think
the ring light. That's the ring light.
Yeah, I turned mine off. Because I'm sitting here in my reclining chair. The dentist is going to come in.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was doing a podcast with Bill Burr, and he went, "That chair is really great." All he cared about was the chair, and he did hit my. I moved my podcast after over 100 episodes over to All Things Comedy just about a month and a half ago. So Bill was my second guest. George Lopez was first. All the people we like, and I don't really have people I don't like on there because it's hard. Life's hard enough. Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I have someone that, but I'm not looking for. I'm looking to make people feel better. I'm not looking to cause angst because a lot of people are living off this world we're in, which is basically a UFC match. That's what everybody's enjoying. And they used to think the roast was, everybody's become a roast and thinks it's funny. And then you see some of these disgusting political people, if you happen to be unlucky enough to catch a soundbite with some of these troglodytes that should be back under rocks, believing that, water is a chair, it's like, just like insane weirdos that unfortunately are in Congress. And then you hear how they're talking, and it's roast. It's what we would do in fun, Ron, and behind, and Carl, you're a comedian, and behind the Comedy Store, just to screw around sometimes, but not really. Comics are usually pretty serious, but sometimes we would all riff on each other and just, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you got nowhere to be, so you can be at the store all night. Are you selling dope? What's your story? And now that was done out of not hatred, except once in a while. That was done out of just having fun and being 30 years on the road or whatever we do, and being a comedian or being on television or movies or whatever the hell people's background is. And then now it's just become this thing that happened. And the danger was that for a lot of people, Donald Trump was funny and can be, which is frightening as hell. Not good at it, not a good roaster, doesn't like being roasted, doesn't like you make fun of him and it'll ruin your life. But that's true of just of this whole bunch of people that have just think making fun of people, all it's done is perpetrate bullying and evil in the world. And I am out on tour, and you're doing this radio show podcast. I know this thing is 9 different mediums right now.
Yeah.
But I'm doing what I'm doing to make people feel better. And I bring up some, I don't really bring up politics too much, unless I just find it so funny. I like to just ruffle feathers. But I'm not, I don't know. Everybody's got wrong interpretations of me. Oh, you're so filthy. Really? Did you watch my last special? It's barely an R-rated special. Did you watch the one before it? I got nominated for a Grammy. It's slightly dirty. All they're basing it on is a special I did in 2007. And that's it. You're done. You've been branded by one special where you dropped a lot of F-bombs, but and did material I wouldn't do today, but I did it then because that was then. So that's where I'm at, is just trying to make people, I'm trying to entertain people.
Make people feel good. Bring some.
And
joy.
everything I just said was so charming and made people feel wonderful. Troglodytes, roasting UFC. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe the thing that people found so shocking was the contrast.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have been so bad, if the contrast wouldn't have been so great.
Well, it wasn't bad. It was great.
Okay.
I'm just saying, my career's been great, and that special, That Ain't Right, was the highest rated HBO special for about 5 years at that time. So, but I got shit for it. And understandably by some people, because a little kid, I remember I was at Walter Reed Center visiting troops that came home. I was talking to a guy, he just got back from Iraq, and a long time ago, obviously. And his little son was 9 then. And he said, Bob, I got to talk to you. And I went over to him because they was just fitting him for his prosthetic legs. And he said, I got a problem. My son was watching TV. And he said, look, it's the dad from Full House. And I walked over and it's F this and F that. And it's like, well, what do you want me to do, sir? Just tell him to turn down the volume. I look amicable, But the kid got an education. But the man was, first thing, he came back and served our country and was a good man. The only problem you have is that people don't understand that if you're acting in a show that you're acting. They think that's you, which means they again think that a rock is a glass of water. So it doesn't matter. It's like you see somebody murder someone in a movie, you assume they're a murderer. That's like, and beautiful Robin Williams did so many family things, and then you go see his stand-up, and he was much filthier than I'll ever hope to be. It is the contrast. You're correct. It is, but he was Mork also. Even as edgy as it was, he was still loved by children.
Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire, and so many wonderful family films. And then turn on 1 Hour Photo, show that to your kid, and he's a pedophile murderer. So but that movie careers are different than television, because a 9-year run on a TV show, people are having sex while you're on. People are, eating.
I'm having sex right now, guys. So.
Me too. Me
yeah,
too.
we can't see your other hand, Ron. Put
Yeah,
those hands up.
I got Brad Williams under the desk.
Oh God. Fun size, just like Antonio.
But part of it.
No, but well, so since Antonio asked you about the contrast, that was something I don't want to get too out of order of your life and career, because we're going to ask some artists.
Oh, I don't care. There's no order.
Okay, so but what I was going to say is, did you ever get, like, were you known for doing the edgier stuff before you got Full House and Funniest videos?
I was doing stand-up since I'm 17, and I was a music act, and the first song I ever wrote that I played and won a radio contest in Philly was called Bondage.
Oh my.
So I was kind of copying Martin Mull, who did comedy music, who I loved, who I'm actually directing a documentary about. We're finishing it up now.
Cool.
It's got Steve Martin in it, Norman Lear and Eric Idle and David Allen Greer. And it's a wonderful documentary about Martin, who is this amazing artist, amazing musical comedian, actor. Everybody knows him from something, they're not sure, but if you watched him in Fernwood Tonight, if you're as old as me, or people that know, like Michael McKean's in this thing, people of comedy value, Patton Oswalt, all know that Martin was a pioneer, and that Steve was close with Steve Martin. In fact, Steve opened for Martin back in the day.
Wow.
And so, I watched his act at the Main Point in Philly. I had always written music. And so I wrote all blues stuff, and I hosted the Comedy Store for 8 years. And I was on Rodney Dangerfield's Young Comedian special and a Richard Pryor movie, Critical Condition. And these are the only things I ever talk about. But everything I did had an R-rated flair to it. And I did jokes you couldn't do today. And then I got a job. I was on the morning program on CBS, which was on against Good Morning America Today show. And then I got fired because I was too hot for morning television. And then the Full House producer, Jeff Franklin, wanted me originally for the part of Danny Tanner because I'm an actor and I knew how to act, and I'd acted a bunch, and I took the part because I was fired. And I did it for 8 years. And then 1 year in, I got the offer to host the video show, and I did that. And that was 8 years. And those are family shows, and I did them to the best of my ability because I do everything 100%. Evidently, I did such a good job. They assumed that is exactly what I act like. And it is. I'm that also. It's just that people can be, many dimensions. So, and I've done so many things since then that are of note that I'm very, very proud of. I've done Broadway a few times that I've loved more than anything. And I love stand-up now more than I've ever loved stand-up. I'll be doing a special. The reason I'm out killing myself and going to every city possible is literally because I love stand-up so much right now. And it's all new. To have a new 90 minutes, like brand new. So you go back, I'm finally going back. This is Thursday. I'm going back Friday, tomorrow, at the Paramount Theater in Austin, Texas. And
Texas.
I haven't been there in a while, and I can't wait to go back. I as soon as the pandemic as soon as certain places opened up, which is Florida and Texas, and people that didn't think we had a pandemic, I was there for them. I was there to be a petri dish as they laughed into my mouth. And
Wow.
And then I got my booster yesterday, so now I can sit up higher when I go to the Sizzler in my chair. That's my joke. It's a dad joke. See, and they say, so if you do a dick joke, you get persecuted, and a dad joke, you get persecuted because they go, oh, yeah, pun. It's a pun. And everybody that's criticizing everyone's jokes, unless they're professionals or unless they're a funny person, is just a negative person who's never thought of a joke or ever tried to make anyone laugh out of the goodness of their heart. So that is what I say. to those so-and-sos.
Well, look, so the culture has changed, right? So
Yo, it's great.
And we all laugh.
well, no,
You're
I mean,
right.
look,
Rome is burning. Is that fire actually, is the outside of your house on fire and that's just some of it coming in?
It's a safe screen.
Oh,
It's
it
not
is?
a real background.
That's amazing. The skull's real though. You killed an animal?
Yeah, that's a real dead animal. Yeah.
Awesomeness.
well, look, the culture really has changed as a comic, right? So you do have to worry. It's so much harder because we were the real free speech people comics. You could say or do whatever you want. I guess if you go back to Lenny Bruce's time, he was arrested a few times for things he would say on stage. So maybe it was kind of like this in a certain way.
Yeah,
but,
McCarthyism was like this too, where people blame people for being communists, and some of the people said, "Yeah, I'm a communist," and literally, what had they done to hurt them? It wasn't like Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, who gave the plans of the bomb.
Right,
It was like they were just saying what they wanted to say, and now, of course, we're in a country where everyone is saying, where I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say, and everybody's angry, instead of I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say. See, that's Danny Tanner. It's a very simple adjustment. Actually, I probably am more like that, I guess, on stage now. I'm a mixture of whatever, because I'm not just one thing. So I have a different way of approaching it all. I don't find it a difficult time in stand-up. I find some audiences disappointing. I don't disappoint them. I do what I need to do for them. So if I have a fully Christian fundamentalist Republican audience, I will do my damnedest. Oops, that's it. I just got canceled. I will do the most I can to give them a good night and get them away by putting out positivity and, dare I say the word, love, which is, people hate it, that word now, because they don't believe that's important, and it's the most important, because that's why everybody's so fucked up, because they're not realizing how important love and kindness and yada yada yada, because they're like, yeah, tell me about your kindness as you do this to my children,
Well, it's funny that you bring this up. I've had this conversation with other well-known comics, and actually almost got in an argument about it, which is they go, no, I say what I want to say. I don't care what people think. And I go, well,
I agree with that too.
In reality, you're actually trying to, people pay to come see you. You want them, but
yeah, they're paying for it. And if I'm in a theater, like I'm in Austin, that audience will probably be more like how I exist as a person, which means I don't know where I fall anymore. I'm on the right of what the truth is, and we don't know what that is because it's so done so badly. And I talk to the audience like it's like they're my friend. That's how I approach everything that I do. The people are my friend. And
the difference is of what you're saying to me, and this argument I got in with another comic, I won't say argument, but discussion. And I'll say, I think that's the difference between being a showman and being, this is my lane. I'm staying in my lane no matter what. And so I tend to be a showman, which is why I'm a good audience warm up, because I actually care about the audience. I care about what message I'm putting out, and I care about how people feel. Sometimes I've done, things on stage that I've regretted and like, oh man.
I remember when you ate that poop.
What'd you say?
When you ate that poop.
Come on, I thought it was funny.
It was, but they thought you were juggling. They thought they were folded socks.
And then they brought out that donkey Ron, and I said, oh my God.
Oh my God, the donkey should have never come out. But I'm a chameleon, so I will change. Like shooting my special, I'm figuring out where, and I'm kind of zeroing in. I'm not going to say now where it looks like it's going to be, but it'll be a large place. And the idea being is, what audience will that draw? And that will change the tenor of the special, which is a definitive thing that used to mark in time for you, because I do them like every 4 years. That's kind of how I've been, for maybe 5 on a couple of them, but I've done 5 of them. But that's, not a lot. People, my God,
It is though.
look at-
But that is, people spend 13 years, 10 years getting their first hour, and it's always seems to be the best hour. And then certain
Yeah.
comics seem to get better. Seinfeld's last special to me was his best. And I'm like, how do you have $1 billion and then go out and do your best work? It usually
I
goes
think
the
he's
other way
half
around.
a billion. Let's not blow him up here. I think he's
Okay.
half a billion.
Okay.
You know what,
Well-
guys? I think we live in a fun-size mirror world where the image is real, but it's distorted. So I think what we live in now is a world where the negative voice gets amplified. It's always been there, but it
Absolutely.
gets amplified. So Bob, I think you don't hear all the people who love what you do.
Oh, I
everything that
do.
you
I do. I
contribute.
take names. No, I got millions of people that look at me on all my sites and everything, and I've got
Yeah.
and everything I output. And if I'm selling out theaters and clubs, and they're allowing me to just screw around and work on new stuff. And then I just did a movie that'll come out in a few months. I get feedback from people that's very positive. That's why I love live performing so much too. You get it right away.
So what's inspiring you for your material lately?
It's really been this thing that we've all gone through. So everybody
Yeah.
kind of has their version of the same stories.
Right.
And they can be as nice and, like Nate Bargatze, that's how you pronounce his last name, right?
Yeah, Bargatze.
Yeah, Bargatze. He's so nice. He's just like your pal talking to you. Or you'll hear people get angry at situations. Tom Segura's out there and saying his experience, and Bill Burr will rant, one of my
I love him.
faves. And Dave Chappelle's out there standing on the high wire, biggest comedian in the world, getting a lot of love and a lot of not love. And it's all how I don't know. I mean, I love
31 flavors. You're a different flavor.
I'm living the life you're living. So, yes, it's different. Yes, I make jokes about that. I've never seen Coach on an airplane, that's just everybody has their little spin, and people know that it's coming from a humorous place most of the time, but it's stories. I'm more story oriented. And I'm also talking about the past. In my life, when I was a kid and there was segregation and I segregated bathrooms, and here we are reliving some elements of that. So it all is very pertinent. It's a completely different type of thing that I've ever done, but it's who I've been for the past few years. So it's completely, and that's why I'm playing more dates. People are just going, have you seen what he's doing? And that's, my agent calls and says, you're getting a lot of people wanting you to come everywhere. And I do. And then I bring them up.
Oh, love it.
Oh God. So I have a quick question. Sort of back to what I was asking before, but I really wanted to hit this. Many years ago, 2004, I believe, there was a movie called The Aristocrats.
Yeah.
And I was your guest at the premiere. Because you invited me because I helped promote a charity show you were doing for your cause devoted to your sister.
Oh, for the Scleroderma Research Foundation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so you thanked me for writing a story that helped sell some tickets.
Yeah.
By letting me be your guest. And anyways,
Boy, I'm a great guy.
You are.
I let you come to the filthiest movie ever made.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing that was amazing to me was I got to go, and all this comedy royalty was there because the movie consists, for those who don't know it, of like several dozen major comics.
It's 100 comedians. It's 100 comics.
Wow, 100 comics, yeah. Each telling their own spin on the world's dirtiest joke.
And it's not even a joke. It's a horrible joke. It's not anything. It's just, basically it's saying the worst thing you can say. To prove a point of, I guess, freedom of speech, which was that event was the Creative Coalition event. And there were a couple of events like that. One was at the 92nd Street Y, and one was at a movie theater in New York, and one was here. in LA. And that's, I'm sure, what I invited you to.
Yeah.
And that's a joke I've been asked to tell, and I don't tell it. I've only known it twice. Dom Herrera told me the joke 30 years ago in front of
Roger
the
Bear
improv.
from Roger and Roger told me the joke the first time I ever heard
And it's
it.
not a joke. It's not anything. It's just,
No.
it's the pleasure you get in saying things you're not supposed. George Carlin said in the beginning of the movie, don't tell this joke to people. You tell it behind a trash bin. This is not for audiences. Well, they took the wizard behind the curtain and unmasked him. And they had a lot of people that were, doing comedy that was done in the wrong way, but it's part of the movie. And that's what comedy is. You get comedians that are of a different ilk, and then ilk is something I've never really said. I believe you have the head of an ilk behind you, but I told it, and then you can't tell it today, and then people take it out of context and show my clip from this movie, and then that's, oh, you got to cancel him. Look what he said.
Oh,
and
sorry, I wasn't thinking along that. I wasn't trying to get.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize. So
Yeah.
What'd you say wrong?
Oh no, I just meant I wasn't trying to go there like, oh, Bob, you're so terrible. I just thought.
Why would you say that to me? I think you like me.
Yeah, I do. No, I just meant. Do you ever?
Now I think you're horrible in just saying. Anybody that says just meant really offends me.
Oh God. No, but what I'm trying to get at was there ever a time where you've ever felt like you did cross a line and you're like, oh, I better. I wish I hadn't done that, or
yeah, a lot of it. I mean,
okay.
a whole lot of it. I mean, I had jokes that had the word rape in them, and I have people in my life that are very close to me that have had that happen to them, and the reason that joke was coming out of my mouth at the time was because that's how I dealt with it. It actually, someone I know and love had it happen, and that's when that word entered my stand-up. And how do you explain that to people? Because how does that make it right? It doesn't. And it's not something, and people are still using the word, especially now, some comedians, but in a way, I don't know, for some people, there is no way that it's funny, because it's not funny. It's like bringing up, it's a 9/11. It's the Holocaust. And yet look at all the comedy things that came out as a result of World War II and the Holocaust by Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, all these great things, these great Hitler comedy things. I mean, Charlie Chaplin, the great dictator, did a Hitler impression. It wasn't fun. Jojo Rabbit right now is one of the most brilliant things I ever saw.
The producers,
and that got made, but I don't know if it would. It's very weird what's going on, because we need some of that. You need satire. There's a movie called Don't Look Up coming out that I cannot wait to see. And it just looks like exactly what I always loved, which is satire about how little people could give a shit. And that's Meryl Streep's the president, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and it just looks fantastic. Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, it's, it just looks really, it's Adam McKay, it's like Network. There's like Network was, in the.
Yeah. I think the culture is right for certain things at certain times. And so maybe it's ready for certain comedy then. In the mid 80s, I was in a comedy theater troupe in France. It had French people in it, German people, and I was one of the Americans. And it's called L'Institut Français de Jonglage. We perform in German and in French. One night, I was 19 at the time. One night we have a night off, and I go, oh, this movie called The Producers is playing in town, and it's in English. Anybody want to go? I didn't think anyone would come. The whole troupe came. So I had French and German. And, it's the original show. And we're all just laughing. We walk outside after the movie. The Germans come straight up to me. Why do you bring me to this movie? And I go, because it's kind of funny. This is not funny. And then the French had to jump in between us to keep us apart from fighting. And it was so bizarre. But, it just shows that maybe one culture was ready for that comedy and the other was not at the time.
Well, Germany really is still in the world of peace, even though there are people that support that movement still in the world, in America, and in Germany, I know felt so much guilt, and the youth really wanted to have a do-over, and that's why Berlin is one of the coolest places to go to. You know, there people do grow, people do learn, and it's not long ago that stuff happened not long ago. So if you're bringing up stuff as a stand-up in a movie, if your subject matter is like, what the hell are you saying that for? You asked the question, I guess it takes me a while to answer questions, but the question 40 minutes ago was, have you said anything you regret? And I guess, you know, there are things. I did a show years ago in Boulder at the Boulder Theater, and my act was like Entourage, Bob. It was 2007. I was on that show a bunch. I had the HBO special came out. Aristocrats came out a little before that. I'd been on Broadway in a play, but actually I played somebody that was a bad guy that got persecuted for insider trading. It was written by Paul Weitz, called Privilege. And so all of this was happening at the same time. And I did a show, and in the review said something like the truth, which was a lady in the audience stood up and yelled out, "You're a misogynist." And I said, yes, because I'd like to give you a back rub or some Groucho attempt. But when I looked through the kind of material that I was doing at the time, I would say that yes, if I looked at that, I could never say those things now. So in that regard, this is before Me Too had to become a movement, and I could not. I have 3 daughters. I have had 2 sisters. I had an ex-wife. That, you know, women are my life, you know, and have been. And so coming out with that character, see, that was the opposite of Danny Tanner. That was the Entourage character doing a stand-up special, but it was what made people laugh then. And I'd been playing a lot of colleges, ironically, which is the flip side of where we're at now, which is, you know, more woke or more conservative, depending on where you are. And I felt bad about it, you know, and there was a review in the paper that was complimentary, but then brought this up. And then I spent 5 minutes. I made some negative comments to her, like you do with a heckler. And then I defended myself, which kind of, I think, was bullshit, that I thought I had a right to defend myself. It was more like the kid in school that got called a name and wanted to say, yeah, well, I didn't do that. And because when I go through what the comment meant, I would say about half of the material that I was doing at the time could be considered 100% misogynistic. And it was just, that was me trying to blow up the old image. And here's this nerdy guy that looks like a dentist or an accountant acting badass. So that was the adjustment. It was almost like, you know, dice. It was like, I wasn't like that, but it was still an amplified version of me being cocky and a real player, which wasn't the case at all. So it was a character choice, and it was not where I wish I had gone, and it was the highest rated special I ever did. So
Wow.
yeah, but that's where we were. That's kind of what was going on. You look at some old specials of Robin and different people that you look up to so much and go, and there's brilliance. And then there's some stuff that you're like, wow, I can't believe that was said, you know, but Robin was another level of.
We should all be allowed to grow, my friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's honestly, I've known you for a long time. This conversation is just fascinating to hear because, you know, we're in the same vein. We've worked together a lot, but you've obviously hit such high levels. I mean, you're in rare air, man. You've hit high levels as a host, as a comic, and as an actor. And it says a lot for who you are. Everybody likes Bob. And
not if you look at comments on TikTok, but these kids, what are you going to do?
yeah.
They're Gen Z, and they believe the mob led by like ex-porn actors that didn't make it.
Hey, well, but here's the other argument to that too. My wife just commented on somebody that made a negative comment on a thing I had done recently, and I go, hey, if you don't get negative comments, you're not even causing any buttons to go. You're just.
I like
you're
that you
so-
froze, Ron, right when you said that. It was really cool. It was like you did it purposely. You went, if you're not getting any negative comments, then you're not causing any kind of, it's true. You're not getting energy if you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. George Wallace told me that when I was really young in my career from something that had happened. He goes, that means you're making waves right now. You're actually doing the right things because there's some pushback. I mean, there's a difference between doing things just to get pushback. I'm not saying that, but when you're riding the right wave, it makes people take notice. And oftentimes it's out of jealousy or
they just don't like you. They knew someone like you, or
which
they
is
don't.
okay.
They just don't like you, which is, there's a lot of good, positive people out there. There are people that are online that are not like Gary V is like, if Tony Robbins didn't only care about Tony Robbins, not that I think he's a bad guy. I don't know him. I don't subscribe to cultish stuff, but Gary V people could say is a cult, but he is basically saying, hey, your life sucks. You're in hell. Here's some ways out of it. And he just gives you little philosophical things. And that can come from, if you like faith, you can get it from a Bible. If you like a friend, if you join a really good cult where you don't have to eat your baby, that's good.
You know what, guys? I think the mob, the TikTokers, they're there. I think they're actually there to help us, to be honest, because they have an ability to hit us in that sore spot where it hurts.
Not anymore. Now I stopped. They were hurting me, and now I just block them because I'm a good person. I've said some dumb stuff. I embellish stuff. There was something I said in my book. I had a New York Times bestseller. Not that that means anything because they could care less about that, but I like to mention a credit. but it told a story that happened on a Full House set. And then I did something stupid, but it lasted about 10 seconds what I did. And no kids saw it. No kids were ever around when I did things that were to make Dave and John and the crew of men only laugh. And so that's where I was my own worst enemy. Or Morning Shock Jock, which was Opie and Anthony. So that's what they got is 3 clips that they use. And those things, they believe that the roast is the news. If somebody says something bad about you and says that you're a certain kind of person, it has to be true. So you're a murderer or a rapist or a pedophile or something. And that's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
But it's not true.
People
Bob,
can read a
that's all that
comment and believe things, but it just doesn't matter what people think if you know in your heart what kind of person. And my God, if I ever did anything horrible to anybody, I'd be in jail, and rightfully so.
Well,
The worst thing I've done is say it on stage,
I've actually worked on hundreds of sitcoms, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I would have to say Fuller House is tied for the top in the most loving, caring family set, meaning everyone that works there is an actual, not by blood, but by work over the years and caring about each other, a family. And
we know each other's hearts. That's what it was. I was on a group text the other day. I mean, Thanksgiving, a 6-hour text with everybody. And everybody's doing their family thing with their related people. So, but there was love being put out there, and that's what came through. It came through, and we never stopped being close, so a reboot seemed fine. I wanted to make like a PG-13 movie where Danny Tanner just comes home drunk because he can't take his life anymore. And he goes, I've been wrapped too tight. I'm just going to be a slob.
So Bob, we got to go in a minute, but I just wanted to ask about one other beloved person that you worked with was Norm Macdonald, who directed Dirty Work. And just wanted to ask, if you had any favorite thing you want to say about Norm. And did you ever realize at the time, did you guys realize that this would go on to be such a cult classic that it's just grown its audience in cable and video over the years? So just wondering about your thoughts on that experience.
Well, I met Norm when he was 17. I did a thing on my podcast. I did it as like a lot of people did. Conan came out with one, Artie Lang, a bunch of people came out of of that day of not, hey, I'm not recording this week or whatever. And I did a 37-minute thing, and it was, it probably got more views and stuff. And I just heard Norm's voice. That's great, Saget. You got 1 million people liking it because I'm dead. You know, Norm would joke about death constantly and deal with it and was living it. And so I was friends with Norm since he was in his 20s. We just became friends. And directing dirty work is also there. I'll tilt up and you can see it up there. There's the poster for it up there.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's great.
Things that got me into trouble in my life. But Norm will always be, I mean, all the questions about Norm are answered in that 37-minute thing. And it's kind of like, I just say it all. I cry the whole time. It's a hard thing to connect with because it's just hard. We're all having a hard time. Those of us that knew him and loved him. And I loved him very much. And you don't know how much you love somebody until you don't have them. So I would say if anybody's listening that loves somebody, or maybe they think they love somebody, try to get some life moments with them as soon as possible, because this is life is short, and I just will always love him. He was one of the most brilliant. He's like pure comedian. A great comedian is someone who's an outsider, who sees things, and even if they're talking about their family, they're still, if you're watching Jim Gaffigan or Sebastian and you hear them talking about their family, they're an outsider to their own family, you know, talking about the food they had to go through. They're explaining it as an outsider. They're giving you observations. Jerry Seinfeld looks at everything as an outsider, you know, I mean, you know, and he's a wordsmith, you know, it's what he's amazing at. And then other people that I just love are the people that people love. You know, a lot of them are podcasts have made comedians stars. Norm will be a person that Conan said something very smart, which was he wishes that Norm could have seen the amount of love he got when he passed while he was still alive, because it was big. It was a big loss. You can't say Robin Williams' name and not have people get sad. It's impossible, because no matter what your relationship with him, if you knew him, or what your relationship with him, if you saw Mrs. Doubtfire, I watched Mrs. Doubtfire during 9/11 rather than watch the same footage all night long, which is all they ran on all the networks. And Fox Television Network ran Mrs. Doubtfire, and that's what I watched. And I've talked to other people, that's what they watch. So comedy is a healer. And Norm had a way. He's kind of guy that'd be in the middle of a battlefield and stuff's going all around him. And he goes, well, it looks like he's not getting up again. You know, it was just his own Groucho, his own Bob Hope way of doing things. It was just pure to the core, the soul of a brilliant comedian. And
yeah,
well, Bob, we got to wrap up because we're out of time.
Yeah, and my daughter is going to take off, so I've got to say goodbye to her.
All right, so we want to say thanks again to Bob for being our guest. And I want to say thanks to you guys for being the great co-hosts as always. And thanks to KBF 88.3 FM for giving us the chance to be on the air. And until next time.
Oh, wait, let me say my website. Say the name of my website.
I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you say that. I can't. I don't want to promote bobsaget.com is where you can get tickets.
Check out all of Bob's tour dates nationwide at bobsaget.com. Get your tickets now.
And Canada and eventually other countries.
Yes. And the podcast, Bob Saget's podcast.
Bob Saget's here for you. Has my name in the sentence.
That's perfect.
I know Carl wanted me to get off of here, but I agree with you. I went too long.
No. All right. Well, thanks, folks. Until next time, this has been Dream Up.